New year, new episode for hashtag Thank Cha It's Friday Season 2. Let us go on with the new year together with the woman we have for this very moment. But before that, gusto ko lang tanungin, how are you guys? How are you, partner?
Okay lang naman ako. Very hopeful for this year.
All right, so that's really great to hear from you. And just like you, I'm also hopeful for this new year. So, may I ask, partner, may New Year's resolution ba tayo dyan?
New Year's resolution ko ay magkaroon ng productive and fruitful na taon with my academics and sana magkaroon na ulit ako ng work because I miss going to work and, earning money for myself.
Wow, very kabog naman. And I'm happy to hear about that. And do we have any prospect? May prospect ka ba dyan?
With regards to prospect, I already have a boyfriend and I am very happy that he is the supportive partner that he is.
Yes, I agree naman. We shouldn't settle for less and find a partner na hindi dadagdag sa burdens natin in life, right? Kaya for me, important talaga ang ligawan
Me
stage.
too. Actually, it gives you time to know more about, the person that you're going to have a relationship with and i-assess kung mag-work yung personalities ninyo or yung magiging relationship as a whole. Whether or not mangyari to prior to you guys committing into the relationship or while you guys are in a relationship. So, kaya kung may red flags man, I won't bother. Save myself agad ako, partner. Kaya red flags are very deteriorating lalo na when you let it pass, 'di ba?
But what if hindi mo na na-save yung sarili mo and the relationship went on with all the red flags?
That's very difficult kasi you wouldn't know how much it will affect you. But thankfully, tonight's episode is to the rescue.
Venturing health-related journeys, one Friday at a time.
This is hashtag TCIF. Thank y'all. It's Friday Season 2.
All right, so let us find out and keep the discussion brewing with our guests for tonight. So, our lovely guest for tonight is a registered psychologist who topped the 2017 Psychologist Board exam. She earned her doctorate degree in clinical psychology from the Wright Institute in Berkeley, California, and is currently an associate professor at the Department of Psychology at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Mhm.
She is a member of the department's wellness committee, among others. She organized and conducted psychosocial interventions for survivors and respondents in the aftermath of the super typhoon Yolanda.
Her training and work experience has focused on providing services to the children or youth from infancy through adolescence and their families. She is also a clinical supervisor from UP Diliman's Psychosocial Services or PsychServe. Currently, she is a weekly columnist at the Philippine Daily Inquirer.
We are more than honored and glad to present to you Doctora Ana Cristina Tuazon.
How are you, Doctora?
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me at saka mukhang napakasaya or napakahugot ng ating pag-uusapan ngayon.
Okay, Doctora. So before we assess the green and red flags in a relationship, we would like to know first, Doctora Tuazon, what do you think is the most important thing to consider when entering a relationship?
Okay, nako. First question pa lang, no? Medyo malaki pero napaka-importante, 'di ba? Kasi a lot of people hindi masyadong nag-iisip, thinking, 'di ba? They're thinking pag relationship, pag in love ka sa isang tao, it's all about feelings and emotions. But actually, right, alam natin sa psychology, we really should involve di ba, our brains also, not just our hearts. Yeah, so ang pinakamaganda, the most healthy way to enter a relationship is by using all that we have. That's heart and brains, right? So when it comes to the,
That's very
parang
true.
thinking what do we need to do, we need to first really be aware and be confident actually, no? Na kung ano yung mga needs natin. We need to know what our needs are in a relationship, and then of course what the needs of the other person is, and then make a decision, right? Kung parang, okay, are we compatible? Can I meet your needs? Can you meet mine? Can we have a relationship that's mutually beneficial? Although that sounds so, that sounds so, maybe that's too brain. But, yes. So is it a relationship where we both can be happy, right? And can grow together.
Yes, I definitely agree, no, Doc. Before you enter a relationship, you must be very aware. You must be self-aware of your needs, of your wants. Kailangan alamin mo yon para you set the record straight with your partner. Gusto ko po yung sinabi niyo na dapat you give it your all. You give your brain, your soul, your heart into a relationship because at the end of the day, this is potentially the person you will spend the rest of your life with. So what is a red flag ba in a relationship, Doctor? And what factors contributed to these kinds of situations or scenarios?
Okay, so with red flags, no, so it's a popular term, right? It's a pop term, red flag, and more importantly, rather than trying to have a universal definition of it, although meron tayong mga basic minimums, and we will talk about that because it's very, very important, right, to avoid abuse in a relationship. But ultimately, red flags are something very, very personal, right? It's something that's truly yours.
Yes,
And
that's very
by the
true.
way, if it's a red flag for you, diba, don't let others make you doubt and make you neglect your own red flags. Kasi iba-iba naman ang red flags ng mga tao. At saan nanggagaling itong red flag? That's the
Mhm.
reason why it's really personal and tailor-made for you because it is based on your values. Diba? Ano ba ang importante sa inyo? Kasi for some, napaka-importante na ang relationship is with the goal of having a committed relationship in mind in the future to the point of marriage, maybe having children, which is really, children is the biggest expression of commitment, right? It's lifetime. So, diba, if for you building a family, right, choosing a committed partner is very, very important. You can imagine, diba, how that's gonna influence your red flag. So, ang red flag, syempre, kailangan marunong mag-follow through sa commitment. Pag nangako, dapat tuparin, right? And of course, if family, children, that kind of commitment is what is important for you, kasama na dyan siguro yung fidelity, right? Monogamy, yan. So yun ang mga, when we say kasi red flag, these are in some ways, diba, these are non-negotiables. Kasi once you see the red flag, hindi ito ang taong I can build a family with. Right? So yun ang red flag. Kasi hala, this goes against the kind of relationship, the kind of life that I want to have, or the kind of person I want to be. Very, very important, especially for me as a clinical psychologist, no? Kasi hindi lang naman parang, some people, we see it. We see some people make decisions na, para sa pamilya. Pero nawawala na yung sarili nila. So it's very, very important for me. And maybe this is my value, see? So if people have this value, same as me, which is to maintain your self-respect. Diba? And ang self-respect natin, napaka-importante. Ang definition nito ay, do I like who I am? Diba? Do I like what I am doing? Kasi kung suddenly, kinahihiya ko na yung ginagawa ko, kinahihiya ko na sarili ko dahil itong ginagawa ko para sa isang relationship, then that hits, right? Maintaining self-respect. And so those are one of the, I think, for me as a clinical psychologist, for a healthy relationship, healthy decision-making, hindi pwedeng mawala. I do not allow my clients to completely sacrifice their sense of self-respect. No? Hindi pwedeng mawala yung, sarili mong identity, your own pursuit of happiness, etc. No? Pero, so on red flags, ultimately yon important. No? So I use family as an example of a value that diba? That springs up red flag rules for us. Now, for other people naman, kasi hindi naman lahat, diba, naghahanap ng traditional marriage and family. So, for example, ang important sa'yo is someone who allows you to do what you want, right? Or someone who allows you to fully pursue a career of your own choosing, an interest of your own choosing. Importante sa inyo, I mean, this is important for a lot of people, importante na you don't feel kandado, so to speak, di ba? Hindi masyadong chine-check yung friends mo, di ba? You don't need to ask permission, but you share. You share your life with each other without owning each other's life. So for some people, that's the value. So kung yun ang value, ano ang ating red flag? Pag kine-question, sinong kasama natin? Pag kine-question, sino ang friends? So big in heterosexual relationships, for example lang, suddenly bawal ka magkaroon ng opposite sex friends. Pinagbawal sa'yo, parang, oh, di ba? So for people who value their freedom, their autonomy, right? Then that is a red flag. So a red flag is something that reminds us, wait, this is no longer what you want. This is no longer, di ba, the relationship that will help you fulfill your needs and fulfill your goals. Yun. So yun ang red flag.
Ayan, Doctor. And I like for the fact na identify or you help us identify po that defining a red flag is for as per individual, hindi siya general, hindi siya dapat specific hindi siya generalized, but it's specific for one person, or it can be a red flag for me, it can be a red flag for you. It depends on how we perceive or how we are hopeful for the relationship or our outlook to the future of our relationship. So how about for those people, or as per my age, kasi we are still getting there, or we are not yet, kumbaga, we are still on the learning process about love, about life and everything. How can we identify, or what are some red flags naman po that we should be aware of as you per professional, that you can advise to us or you can help us ops by this time, uh or kumbaga, paano po namin ma-identify if we really don't know how to define it for ourselves? How does this red flags affect both parties in a relationship?
Mm-mm. So, kanina, di ba, sabi ko, the red flags actually, nag-iiba yan per person and what is important for them. At the same time, I hope, no, there are some, di ba, parang general red flags na at least for me, as a psychologist, these are coping. Ako kasi ganito, when I counsel couples, or even, people who are looking for a relationship, ang gusto kong tignan nila, hindi necessarily, 'di ba, syempre, hindi necessarily parang, ano yung financial status, saan nanggaling, saan nag-aral, hindi resume. Hindi resume ang ating tinitignan. Ang what I want them to really, look at more carefully is paano ba mag-cope? Para sa akin mas importante, paano mag-cope itong tao na ito pag nagkaroon ng problema, pag nagkaroon ng challenge or stress, anong ginagawa niya? Kasi pag best of times naman, di ba? Pag medyo maluwag, maraming pera, okay, walang pandemya, di ba? Parang ang saya-saya ng relationship. Pero actually, it's when the relationship has to go through a challenge. That's when you'll really, really know. Diba? That's when you really know the person. So in times of stress and trouble, anong ginagawa niya? How does this person cope? So, sige, punta na tayo sa pinakamalala. Diba? The red flag that I think everyone should adopt. No? Medyo, ultimately, your viewers, your listeners can still decide, diba? What red flag should I listen to? Should I pay attention to? And what not? So let's start with the one that I think everyone should adapt, okay? Pag siya na nga nagkamali, ikaw pa ang sisisihin niya. Yan. Right? For me, kahit ano pang sitwasyon, right? Kahit ano pang problema, kahit ano pang kultura, red flag dapat yan. Right? Kasi napaka-importante na dapat marunong umako ng personal responsibility ang isang tao. Otherwise, that person will never be responsible for your relationship. Right? Otherwise, siya na nga nagkamali, meron siyang ginawa, hindi siya marunong, di ba? Ano yan, di ba? Malaking red flag. And what's under that? Marunong mag-sorry, marunong mag-apologize, marunong umamin ng pagkakamali, di ba? It can be honest, can handle, is willing to have a hard conversation in order to protect and save the relationship. Because kung mas willing nila, ay ayoko, mahirap pala itong relationship na to. We have to talk about things I'm not proud about, di ba? Alis na lang ako. So those are the coping processes, di ba? Those cognitive processes na parang, alam mong ito ay the first sign of trouble, aalis ito. Kasi walang relationship na walang problema. So hindi, ang common mistake ng mga tao sa red flag ay iniisip nila dapat walang problema ang relasyon. Pag may problema, red flag ka agad. Hindi dapat ganon. Ang gusto natin tingnan, paano niya sinasolve? Hinaharap ba niya? Does he run away? Diba? Yung type na pag may problema, kinonfront mo, tapos biglang nawala, ginost ka for a few days, for a few weeks, and then pagbalik, ikaw kasi, okay na ako, let's go on. Diba? Parang, teka! Ano yan? So very important kasi this is the best way to prevent ourselves from being gaslighted, right? To prevent na from making, di ba sila na ngayon gumawa ng mali and then it makes us doubt. So the one thing, especially, ako kasi I'm much, I really want to make sure I empower women or people who are in the minority in a relationship, because people in the minority, they tend to, di ba, because of the oppressive experiences, sige baka sa akin nagkamali. So, pag may taong ganun ng default thinking, I help, di ba? I urge them to fix it first before they enter a relationship. Because if you have that kind of thinking, ikaw naman, di ba? Nako, usually nagkakatagpo yan, nagkakarelasyon yung mga yan. Yung taong laging bine-blame ang ibang tao, and then ang tao ang laging inaako ang kasalanan. Nako, they find each other somehow in this world. And they end up together kasi it fits, right? But is that just because it fits, is it healthy? No, kasi nagiging prone to abuse, di ba? For the person na willing umako ng kasalanan. So, hindi po yun ang complementarity na gusto natin, right? So, very, very important yung yun. Kaya ba niya umako, umamin? And then, meron bang willingness? Naku, malaking concept ito sa akin for relationship. Is there a general sense of willingness? So willing ako magbago ng konti, di ba? Not sacrificing self-respect, pero nahihirapan ka when I do this. Sige, I will adjust. Hindi parang, dapat kung mahal mo ko, dapat tanggapin mo ko. Di ba? Parang, ayun, red flag. Dapat may willingness kasi I care about you. I'm willing to consider your needs and be flexible. Hindi naman sa you will change who you are. Kasi syempre, kung ang problema niya sa'yo ay buong pagkatao mo, medyo red flag din yun. Teka, dapat bang baguhin ko sarili ko? Parang hindi yata worth it. Hanap na lang ako ng tao na na-enjoy, no, ang aking personality. Pero yung, kunyari, karamihan ng relasyon, especially when you're older, no, siguro kayo medyo bata pa, but when you get older, especially when you live with each other. Ang common sources of arguments, honestly, hindi malalaking arguments. It's household chores, division of labor, di ba? Or kahit nga lang pagta-travel, di ba? Paglalabas sa date, hindi magkasundo kung anong gagawin. So, actually, in reality, it's those little things. It's those little things. And so, kung paano sila, kung how you solve these problems. Kunyari, saan kakain? Or because pandemya, no? Saan magpapadeliver? Di ba? Parang even how you solve that problem, it's a real testament to a person's character. Because, kunyari, wala siyang pake kung anong gusto mo. Hindi, ito ang gusto ko eh. So, itong, di ba, kahit allergic ka or bawal sa diet mo, pero hindi, wala kang pake, ito ang gusto ko eh, kainin mo. Di ba, parang okay. Hindi, in other words, wala siyang pake sa needs mo. Or the other one naman, masyado namang, di ba, hindi, kahit anong gusto mo, pero actually, hindi niya sinasabi. Hindi pala siya natutuwa doon sa nade-decide mo. Tapos later on, magtitimpi, di ba? Oh, lagi na lang ikaw na lang nagde-decide. Pero actually, di ba siya naman? So these are, if you notice, no, a lot of these things are balance. Hindi masyadong demanding, hindi rin naman masyadong pushover, hindi masyadong mapagbigay at hindi naman masyadong, di ba, selfish or masyadong take. Siguro for now, because I could really go on and on, no, and this will be a 5-hour, 3-hour podcast. But definitely, how they cope matters. And then once you know how they cope, very important, once you realize, ganun pala siya mag-cope, nagsa-silent treatment pala siya, or nagre-retreat mo na siya, di ba, ayaw niya magparamdam, o kaya the way he copes, kailangan ma-solve ka agad even if mag-away kami at magsigawan, mas gusto niya yon, or things like that. Oh, wow, napaka-logical pala niya, teka lang, hindi niya na nasa-sense, di ba, hindi na niya na-take care ang emotions ko, kasi napaka-logical mag-isip. So once you see how they cope, then isipin mo sa sarili mo, you have to make that decision. Kaya ko ba yan? Can I live with that coping style? Kasi iba-iba naman. Some people, mas gusto nila, sige, kahit magsigawan tayo, pero at least nasusolve ang problema. Di ba? Kung match kayo doon, okay lang. O kaya, okay siya impatient, pero ako patient ako eh. So kaya ko siyang, di ba? Parang some people can get very skilled na I don't mind na amuin siya, or I don't mind to wait kung kailangan niya talaga mag-withdraw, mag-avoid, no? And then, I'm patient enough, I don't mind waiting. Yan. So, kung ganun, okay lang naman. Pero like, magkakaproblema ata to. Kasi minsan, pangit din yung pareho ang coping. Pareho tayong nag-avoid. Pareho tayong dumidedma sa isa't isa. Teka, long distance to. Di ba? Pag nagdedma tayo, wala na. No? So, actually, for LBRs, mismatch na coping, ang avoidance or shutting down, no? Kasi there are no alternate ways of solving it. So, yon. So, you need to identify their coping style and you need to make that reflective decision for yourself. Kaya ko ba ito? Will this be a match? Will I not mind dealing and adapting to this coping style? So, yun yun. And if I may, once you see a red flag, ang red flag kasi is, hindi na to, when you see a red flag, there's no solving eh. Kaya nga red flag eh. Hindi ko na to ma-adapt. Kasi kunyari, so baka mas seryosong usapan, baka hindi pa for you, for your age, pero kunyari, sigurado siyang ayaw niya magkaanak. Kaya ako gusto ko syempre ng pamilya. No? I grew up in a big family. I definitely want kids. That's not something you work on. That's something you accept. And so if you accept, okay, hindi kami talo, red flag. So kailangan pakinggan. Diba? Hindi kailangan magalit. Na parang at least honest siya. Sinabi niya sa'yo kaagad. Diba? And say, okay, yung ganyan, hindi na kasi magbabago yan eh. Mali yung ganyan thinking. Some people kasi think, hindi, pagtanda niyan, mag-iiba. Pero there's certain, pag red flag kasi, hindi, sure na to. Sure na. And mukhang hindi talo, there's no, di ba? Hindi tayo makahanap ng solusyon that will keep this relationship, no? So, hindi naman pwedeng siya, ayaw niya, ikaw gusto, anong gagawin mo? Hindi ka magkakaanak, tapos magagalit ka sa kanya. Or, mapilit mo, magkaanak, tapos siya naman, mainis sa'yo, kasi sabi ko sa'yo, ayoko ng anak, eh, bakit ko kailangan alagaan? Diba? Sakit! So, wag na please lang, for those, in this kind of dilemma, please don't bring kids into such a relationship. Kawawa naman. Diba? Hindi ginusto ng isang magulang. But anyway, so pag red flag, kailangan pakinggan and then make that tough decision. Right? Maybe this is it. Maybe hanggang ganito na lang ang relationship. We can date, we can have fun, but this is not going into something more serious. Yan. So, and red flags that are left ignored, they tend to get worse. Kasi yun na nga, they ignore it thinking, I can solve this. I can adjust. No, it's okay. Okay lang sa akin walang anak. Ay, hindi. Okay lang sa akin ang open relationship. Di ba? Sige, kaya ko. Mahal ko naman siya eh. Nako. But if deep down inside, importante sa'yo ang monogamy, fidelity, don't make that, di ba? Don't make your partner devalue what you value. So, kailangan honest ka rin sa sarili mo. Napaka-important. And when that time comes, and there is a red flag, you have to, di ba, have that talk, have that hard conversation and say, this is what I really want. This is important to me. And this is what you want. And this is what's important to you. Now, what do we do? So, hindi naman necessarily break up ka agad. Although, syempre, you have to be willing. Sabi nga, di ba? The only way to have self-respect in a relationship is if breaking up is always an option. Maybe not the first option, but it should always be, right, a viable option. Kasi kung para sa'yo, I cannot afford to break up with this person, wala na. Masyadong marami ka nang masasacrifice. And actually, that very statement, I cannot afford to lose this person, is already a red flag. Actually. Mm-mm.
I definitely agree, no, Doktora. Kasi may nabanggit kayo kanina regarding problems in a relationship that people often misunderstood. Kasi people often misinterpret actually because most people tend to, what do you call this? Madalas kasi sa mga tao, lately, dahil nga napipinta na siya ng kakaiba, ang relationships na pipinta na ng kakaiba ngayon sa social media is that they think na ang pagkakaroon ng relationship with someone should be perfect all the time and it's very ideal. So people are very idealistic now when it comes to being in a relationship. And like speaking from experience na I've been in an almost 3-year relationship now and si Marla actually si Lala actually parang mas matagal pa matagal na siyang in a relationship. So like knowing sometimes we have heart to heart talks, no, me and Lala, and like we know na what made this relationship last longer than what we quote unquote hoped or expected it to be is because we tend to communicate with our partners all throughout the time or the duration that we've been in a relationship, whether that's for personal reasons, kung may gusto silang sabihin, may gusto silang i-express, ganyan, may gusto silang i-communicate, or kung meron mga problems na kailangan i-address together. And I'm very thankful that I have experienced that. Pero syempre, in my past relationships, hindi siya ganon. So I'm not here to catcall my exes or anything, but I'm just saying na syempre, it takes time and maturity for someone to be brave enough to enter a relationship and then own everything that you do in a relationship. Kasi minsan, di ba, parang we go to parang victimizing ourselves kapag tayo yung mali. And it's very nice to hear it from a professional na walang perfectong relationship. It's the way you address, tama yung sinabi ni Doctor, the way you address problems and the way you cope up with it and the way you bounce back from it as a couple that counts. Yun talaga, 'di ba? So speaking of bouncing back, no, alam natin na minsan meron tayong mga kababayan out there, may tayong mga scholars out there na talagang ang mindset kasi is bouncing back every time pero hindi na alam when to stop. Speaking of bouncing back, syempre we have scholars out there na talagang yun na lang yung perceptions nila sa kanilang relationship na dahil they're so into this person and into the love that they get from this person that they don't know when to stop bouncing back and when to start walking away from the relationship. So where does the line stand between communicating to your partner and with your partner about red flags and where does the line stand of you getting out po?
I actually don't think those are separate or opposite choices. Kasi actually, in order to get out, you need to communicate, right? It's actually people who don't communicate that get stuck way too long in a relationship that doesn't work. So actually, you need to communicate all the way until the end. um, it's siguro, I guess I'm wondering if what's behind the question is, okay, you talk and then intindihin na lang, right? And then parang okay, let's continue. So you communicate to really see if there is a solution to the problem. So kunyari, paano ba yan? Gusto mo ng open relationship? Ako gusto ko monogamy. What can we do? Right? What's our solution here? And there should be no judgment and shame because each couple, right, will decide for themselves what is the best. So maybe one partner says, okay, fine, I'm willing to try it. Or the other says, sige, fine, I'll commit and I'll give monogamy a chance as well, right? And then you could try it. And then when, okay, nag-try na, but the other person isn't happy or it confirms to them further, ay, importante nga pala sa akin ang monogamy, parang hindi ako mapakali, di ba? Na hindi closed ang relationship. So see, this is when you need to communicate that. To say, hey, partner, I'm sure your partner is not what you call them, but, I don't know, babe, honey, So parang, I thought I was okay with it and I was giving it a chance, but honestly, I'm not happy with it. I don't feel secure. I really worry, but where you go at night, and then I feel like I don't even have a right to ask you because we have this rule, and so I feel even more silenced. So instead of feeling more comfortable and feeling more honest with you, I feel I have to look cool, even though I'm not. Diba? So see, so it's really, really important to communicate in that way. And pag may impasse, and also to communicate when you recognize, hala, we're at an impasse. We both want different things. Ang nangyayari din kasi, and again, tao lang naman, of course, we want to make the relationship work, so we give it sometimes way more chances than it can. So pag nag-impasse, sige, let's just pretend we didn't have this conversation. Ituloy pa natin. Pero an impasse is an impasse. Diba? Pag may impasse, wala nang progress. Ang mangyayari na lang dyan, one or both parties will resent each other. Kasi hindi kayo masaya. Tapos, after a while, diba, alam nyo to, in a relationship, suddenly, bakit pa ulit-ulit ang ating pinag-aawayan? Kasi actually, hindi natin sinolve. Diba? Parang we just stopped it kasi we were both afraid where it's going to go, which is a breakup, and we both didn't want to break up. But then we also none of us want to budge also. So anong impasse doon? So eventually, if you communicate more and more about what you're happy with, not happy with, what works for you and what doesn't work for you, it will actually get really obvious and clear. I think this is it. Kasi when you don't talk, you're harboring pa fantasies, no? O baka naman one of these days, magbago isip niya. Baka naman medyo, di ba, nagsusoften na yung opinion niya about this. Baka maybe later, pag may anak, willing na siya mag-commit, hindi na siya open relationship. And yung pala, because hindi ka nag-uusap, your partner naman is saying, no, what are you talking about? Open relationship leads to open marriage. Di ba? Parang, no, right? So, and because we don't talk about our expectations, di ba? We don't do parang checking in. Kamusta tayo? How are we doing? Is this where we want it to go? Is this how we want it to be? Para sa'yo, for you, maybe forever na siya. Yung pala sa kanya, parang, oh, this is fun as it is, but, I can't, di ba? Hindi niya ma-imagine. Pala, sakit, pero that's why it's called difficult conversation. So, hindi to red flag, but actually, we're talking about red flags today. And actually, just as important for you to know what your green flags are, because too many people don't know what the green flags are, what to look for. They just know what's bad in a relationship, but you need to know what's good, because sometimes you will break up naman with someone who has a lot of green flags, but maybe they're not hitting some passion, some sexy factors for you. And so very important na the person is honest right? Is honest. Pero eto meron kasing honest pero they only talk about what they need. So they're honest about what they need. So they're honest about what they need. So honest daw sila. But that's honest and uncaring, right? So you need both. Someone who's very honest about where they are and who also cares to know where you are, right? Who cares to know where you're at, what you need, etc. So to answer your question, because I tend to really go on and on, you definitely need to communicate honestly, and you need to have the capacity to hold difficult conversations. And with that, and then baka mas mature pa nga yung process. Diba? Kasi you can both agree as adults, okay, this relationship doesn't, diba? Our values don't match. What we want in a relationship don't match. So hindi na siya yung parang kasalanan mo, kasalanan ko, diba? And then you end up hating each other. So if you communicate all the way to the end, you might, end up, retaining a friend or retaining a good friendship, right? Compared dun sa, you wait the red flags to fester and turn into something really toxic and then done. But, if it's already toxic, then I say get out as soon as you can. Communicate firmly, but not with no negotiation to say, this is it, I'm done, we're breaking up. And that's it. So, yes.
Ayan, Doctora. So I like the fact that we highlighted how communication is important, but at the same time, communication is for us to understand the other party as well, not just for us to be able to express our thoughts, our opinions, but we communicate for us to be able to listen to the other end as well. And actually, there is one thing that I'd like to share that is circling around Instagram uh where you post a box or something where people can write on it, and then you ask for your red flags or your green flags. For me, I thought that it's something personal that I can't really bother trying to ask other people from what their thoughts about my red flags or what they consider as red flag in my attitude or my green flag per se, but listening to how communication is important, I think for other people who tried to ask other people those things, their green flags and red flags and that, is that I would like to believe that they are hoping that they can improve their personality. And I hope uh I had that confidence to ask for my red flag or green flag rather from other people. But I believe I'm not in that I don't have that kind of confidence to ask uh those people who I'm not really close with, but maybe with my partner or with my family members. And I think that would be something really nice, because what I've learned from earlier is that red flag is not curable. Not curable or something. It's considered red flag because you don't have a solution for it. But trying to know your red flag, I think it's one step towards the solution that we thought uh can never be or a the solution to a problem that we thought we can never get to solve or something like that. So I think communication is really one thing that's most important in a relationship for us to be able to address these things. So, more of that, Doctora. How can we address more about the red flags and prevent its consequences?
Yeah. So connected to what I said earlier, once you notice a red flag, you need to talk about it. You need to at least, di ba? Para lang no regrets, right? We make decisions without regrets. You need to inform the person na, hey, when you did this or when you said this to me or when you acted in this way, um, that's really not acceptable to me because I value such and such. See, I'm giving you a script. I'm giving people a script of how they can say it. Parang, I value honesty or commitment. I value these things. And then when you did that, I was really, really hurt. And that is not something that I really should be tolerating. Like I know, diba? That's not something I'm willing to tolerate in a relationship. And then allow the person to respond kasi baka naman willing, diba? Sabi ko nga, willingness is a big protective factor in a relationship. Sige, I'm willing to work on it. It's not that important to me personally, but since it's so important to you, I'll make it important to me as well. Yan yung best case scenario. More typically, honestly, they're like, I don't know, like, okay, but I can't promise you that, or worse, di ba? Sabi ko nga, but that's your problem, you fix that, you need to adjust your expectations, ganyan talaga ako, tanggapin mo ako. And you're like, well, hindi nga eh. Yun nga yung problem, hindi ko nga matanggap. So, again, communication. And if you communicate, if you notice the script, the templates I'm providing our viewers is so that, diba, better kasi to say it calmly. And in therapy, we call it in wise mind. So with both logic and emotions, considered. So hindi yung parang, bakit ka ganyan? And then, diba, you do it in a confrontative, aggressive, or very, very in a very hurt place. Pag ganun ng atake mo, then of course, the other person will feel attacked and ang tendency, magiging defensive rather than being open to listening to you. Kasi even with the red flag, diba, we want at least, when I say no regrets, kasi parang, I want you, even if it doesn't work out, I want you to, come away from that relationship thinking I did everything I could. Diba? I did my best. I expressed myself as clearly as possible. Hindi vague, hindi unambiguous, wala akong hinold back na factor na, naku, sana kung sinabi ko yun, baka nag-change ang mind niya, or baka, ganyan. So, you need to really tell them, oh, when you did this and when you did that, wow, that really hurt me. It made me question. It made me feel ugly, to be honest. Diba? Mga ganyan. Honestly, it made me feel unattractive when you said that or when you did that, and I don't like feeling that way. So could you, do you think you could stop doing that? You think you can work on that? If they said, yes, genuinely, I can. I'm sorry. I never ever want you to feel that way. Ako, again, green flag yan. Kasi wow, di ba? Nandun lahat ng sinabi ko. Personal responsibility, marunong mag-sorry, willingness. Willingness to kind of give you some give naman, di ba? Hindi yung puro, hindi, wala, this is it. And so, you need to communicate it, even if it's difficult. And most people don't communicate it kasi they know that, breakup na yan, di ba? If I say hindi ako masaya, sabi, hindi ka pala masaya, mag-break na tayo. So again, before you communicate, you need to really work on, am I really okay if this ends up in a breakup? Okay lang ba yun? And of course, when I say, okay, hindi sa masaya ka, syempre, diba? I know I'll go through a period of grief and mourning. I'll cry and I'll meet my friends and I'll do all these things. It'll be painful and it's worth my self-respect to go through that pain rather than go through the pain of a toxic relationship with a partner who doesn't value me. Diba? I always say, as a therapist, as a professor to my students, choose your pain. Is it the pain of grief because you had to let go of something that wasn't working for you and then go through the pain maybe of temporary loneliness because it is temporary, or go through the feeling of being devalued and unappreciated within a relationship? Choose the pain you're willing to work with. Some people say, no, I'd rather be in pain in a relationship. Okay, see, values. That's what's important for you, then okay. As long as you know that that's what you're choosing. So, yeah.
Anyway, sadly, this is the last portion of our discussion. But before we part ways, can we ask for your message or final words for our viewers and listeners?
So, it's very important that we identify our own personal red flags actually before we're even in a relationship. Because trying to identify red flags while you're already in a relationship is gonna color it, pun intended, diba? It's gonna color your process. Now, so best to do this while single while not dating anyone. Kasi why? Then you are sure that you prioritize yourself when you decide what is a red flag for you. So a red flag flags you when you're sacrificing too much in this relationship. Diba? Mauubos ka dito. You will lose yourself in this relationship. And that is why we need to listen to it. And we need to communicate. Diba? It's okay. It's okay to give as many chances as possible for the relationship to work. As long as you're communicating and as long as hindi ka nga nauubos. So it's really, red flags actually protect you. Parang the red flag is when, you need to prioritize yourself over your relationship na. That's
Red
the
flag
flag.
waving.
Yes, I definitely agree, no, Doktora. Sabi niyo nga po na you can give a lot of chances as long as hindi ka pa nauubos because your own self matters, di ba? Siyempre, hindi ka naman papasok sa relationship para maubos at magkaroon ng toxic na pamumuhay. Pumasok ka sa relationship to get the love and support that you deserve. Which is why sometimes sana ma-realize ng ating viewers, no? Na just because somebody has a red flag doesn't mean that you guys need to like give up on that person already. Give them a chance, diba? Give them one or two. Pag feeling mo sobrang sobrang pagod ka na or feeling mo parang hindi mo na nabibigyan ng halaga yung sarili mo or labag na sa kalooban at sa mga prinsipyo mo sa buhay to the point na you don't even know yourself anymore. Tama si Doc. That's the time when you walk away. You don't walk away the first time you saw a red flag because red flags are a part of the relationship. And other than that, even as much as we want to extend this conversation, syempre we would love to have more time to chat with our viewers and our guest speakers. Sadly, this is the last portion of our discussion. Thank you so much, po, Dr. for gracing us with your wonderful presence. But before we part ways, do you have any social media accounts or any organization or events that you want to plug? Where can they find you, Dr.?
So in our work at UP Diliman, no, so we have UP Diliman PsychServe or Psychosocial Services. So we do have for now, no, every now and then, depending. Sometimes we open to the public for free psychotherapy. Currently, depending on funding, we are not. However, if you go on our Facebook at UPD PsychServe, PSYCSERV, we have free psychoeducational materials and very specific ones. I'm very proud of the team. So they have psychoeducational materials on burnout, on productivity, di ba? Mga pandemic exacerbated issues. I think, maybe on relationships as well. So so if you want more knowledge, more information, you want to be empowered, you can go on our Facebook page, UPD PsychServe.
All right, so thank you so much again, Dr. Anna, for the time that you have graced us with. So with this episode, can we conclude the question right now? Is love really colorblind? We give it all to Miss Tuason for finally answering our question. Thank you so much for your time in discussing a relevant topic na talaga namang mapapakinabangan nating lahat in terms of looking for love.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you again for having me.
#ThankChaw It's Friday have been made possible thanks to our sponsors and partners. This podcast series is in partnership with
Honor Society of Mapua,
PLM Tugon Rescue,
PLM Junior Entrepreneur Society,
UP Pre-Medical Society Baguio,
Bukluran Students Alliance Integrated Students Organization,
and PLM College of Physical Therapy Student Council, and in cooperation with
Archers Network,
Agham Youth PUP,
PLM Society of Information Technology Enthusiasts,
and UST CRS Student Council. This podcast series is sponsored by
Baked by Julia.
Mbuji Finds.
Hey guys, I'm Doc Anna, and I'm inviting you all to tune in to hashtag TCIF. Thank Ciao, it's Friday, every week from November 2021 to January 2022 on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. And together, let us venture on health related journeys one Friday at a time.
I really believe we all needed this episode.
That's very true, no? Lalong-lalo na love should not make you feel taken for granted. It should not destroy you or exhaust you or your partner, but rather make you feel fruitful and make you feel healed.
I agree. Choosing a kind partner contributes to your overall condition din.
I agree. You have to have a partner with whom you can't wait to go home to and who makes you love yourself even more.
Agree. Let us all avoid the red flags and look for someone who will bring you peace despite the challenges and natural flaws.
Yes, I hope this episode was able to inspire you to give yourself and others the kind of love that you truly need and deserve.
Make all your sana all worth it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of hashtag TCIF Thank Cha It's Friday Season 2 with our last episode.
The Commission on Health and Wellness and the whole PLM Supreme Student Council is grateful for your unending support once again this season 2.
We hope to have you with us once again for our future projects. Thank you very much for venturing with us on health related journeys one Friday at a time on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify at 6 p.m.
Once again, I am Lala, your resident chocadora.
And I am Kit Kat, once again bringing you sugar, spice, and everything nice.
And this is hashtag Thank Cha It's Friday Season 2.